Hey guys, real talk. Imagine you're Tom Cruise in 2017. You're the biggest action version with Brendan Fraser. Still feels like a perfect popcorn adventure 25 plus years later. So what went sideways? Why did one mummy become a timeless classic and the other cautionary tale of Hollywood hubris? Let's break this down without the usual "it was doomed" cliches. This wasn't just bad luck or a weak trailer. It was a perfect storm of ego, studio panic, and creative misfires that turned a promising reboot into a $410 million global disappointment. Yeah, it made money overseas, but not enough to cover the $345 million total spend, including marketing. Universal lost tens of millions. The perfect storm: studio greed, cruise control, and creative chaos. Okay, so let's cut straight to the chase. Why did The Mummy, 2017, tank so badly when the 1999 version is still a beloved classic? The biggest killer was Universal rushing to copy the Marvel Cinematic Universe playbook without having the foundation. They announced the Dark Universe years too early, trailers already teasing Russell Crowe as Dr. Jekyll, popping up like some forced cameo, acting like the audience was already invested in a shared monster world. Spoiler, we weren't. Nobody asked for interconnected monster movies. The public just wanted a solid, scary mummy reboot. Instead, they got a bloated setup movie that felt like homework for future films that never happened. Budget numbers tell the ugly truth. Official production cost hovered around $195 million until you realize only $80 million came from the US domestic market. For a Tom Cruise-led summer blockbuster trying to launch a franchise, that's a possible action, beats, and half-hearted horror. The Mummy herself ends up feeling like a side character in her own movie. A fatal mistake when your title is literally The Mummy. Director Alex Kurtzman, coming from TV, $1 million monster movie, was in over his head. He later called the experience brutal and said it was the biggest failure of my career. Between Cruise micromanaging action sequences and Universal pushing the dark universe agenda, Kurtzman lost control of the tone. One minute, it's trying to be legitimately scary. The next, it's full-on blockbuster explosions and quips. The result? A movie that doesn't know what it wants to be. Compare that to 1999. Stephen Sommers' version knew exactly what it was. A fun, self-contained adventure with just enough scares, great chemistry between Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz, and a villain, Arnold Vosloo's Imhotep, who actually felt dangerous and tragic. It didn't need to set up sequels or a shared universe. It stood on its own legs and became a classic because of it. Marketing didn't help either. Trailers sold the new cinematic universe angle hard, but the movie itself delivered inconsistent scares, forced world building, and a tone that swung wildly. Audiences walked away feeling like they'd been sold a franchise starter pack instead of a real movie. Script and tone probe blems when action overload kills horror. Alright, let's get into the meat of what actually made The Mummy 2017 feel so off compared to the 1999 original. One of the biggest issues was the script itself, or more accurately, how it got rewritten and twisted during production. Early drafts, before Cruise got his hands deep in the rewrites, had a clearer horror-adventure balance. Sofia Boutella's Amunet was built up as this ancient, vengeful force with real menace. Think a cursed princess who lost everything and now wants to reclaim power. The tone leaned more toward classic Universal monster vibes, creepy atmosphere, ancient curses, genuine dread. But once Cruise stepped in with his creative, this invincible, wisecracking action hero who basically turns into the new Mummy by the end, yeah, that's a plot point. Amunet gets sidelined in her own story, which is insane when the title is literally The Mummy. The result? A movie that can't decide what it wants to be. One scene, it's trying to scare you with plague visions and sandstorms. The next, it's full-on Mission Impossible style, zero gravity plane crash chaos, which by the way was a real stunt. Props for that, but felt totally out of place in a monster movie. Jump scares everywhere, but no real tension buildup. Critics called it bland and mechanical, and audiences felt the same. The tone swings so wildly it never lands. Now flip back to 1999. Stephen Sommers nailed the tone from day one. It's an adventure first with horror elements that feel earned. The humor comes from the characters. Brendan Fraser's Rick is sarcastic but grounded. Rachel Weisz's Evie is smart and endearing, not forced one-liners. The scares work because Imhotep is a tragic-driven villain. You get why he's pissed, and that makes him terrifying. No tickles every 5 minutes. It just works. Fun, scary, romantic, all in balance. The 2017 version also suffered from trying to be modern in all the wrong ways. They threw in a bunch of contemporary action tropes, drones, explosions, quippy dialogue, but forgot what made the classic Mummy film special. Atmosphere, myth, and a villain who feels unstoppable because he's Tom Cruise, not because the stakes feel real. Audience and critic backlash was brutal. People walked out feeling confused. Is this horror? Action? A franchise teaser? The answer was yes to all and master of none. That's not how you launch a universe. Marketing disaster, audience rejection, and the dark universe graveyard. Alright, let's talk about the final nail in the coffin, how the marketing completely backfired, and how audiences and CR critics straight up rejected the movie. The trailers were the first red flag. Universal pushed hard on the welcome to the dark universe angle. They showed Russell Crowe's Dr. Jekyll showing up in a random lab scene like it was Avengers level crossover tease. The problem? The movie itself barely mentions any of that. Aminette gets a couple of lines about wanting to rule the world with Set, but there's no real connection to a bigger monster universe. It felt like they stapled a franchise setup onto a standalone story that didn't need it. Audiences smelled the desperation from a mile away. Then came the reviews. Critics tore it apart. Phrases like soulless, overstuffed, a franchise starter that forgot to be a movie were everywhere. The 15% Rotten Tomatoes score wasn't just bad luck. People felt lied to. They went in expecting either a scary Mummy reboot or a fun monster mash and got neither. The audience score wasn't much better at 35%. Word of mouth was brutal. Tom Cruise is fine, but the movie's a mess. It's trying to be everything and ends up being nothing. Why is this even called The Mummy when The Mummy barely does anything? Compare that to 1999 again. The marketing was simple. Brendan Fraser fights an ancient curse in the desert. Explosion, mummies, adventure. No universe promises, no forced crossovers. People knew exactly what they were getting, and they loved it. The word of mouth was, this is so much fun, you gotta see it. That's how you build a classic. The dark universe fallout was immediate and total. After The Mummy bombed domestically and barely broke even globally, Universal panicked. They canceled or shelved every planned movie. The Johnny Depp Invisible Bride of Frankenstein with Angelina Jolie rumors, the Van Helsing reboot, all gone. They quietly killed the Dark Universe brand before it ever really started. Universal learned the hard way what Disney and Marvel already knew. You don't announce a shared universe until you've proven you can make one great standalone film first. In the end, He Mummy 2017 didn't just fail. It became a textbook example of what happens when studio greed, star ego, and bad timing collide. It's the movie that tried to be too many things at once and ended up being nothing memorable. Final thoughts. Why one Mummy became a classic and the other became a cautionary tale, plus wrap up. So here we are, wrapping this whole mess up. Let's cut through the noise and ask the real question. How does one Mummy movie become a timeless crowd pleaser that people still throw on for fun 5 years later, while the other becomes the poster child for what not to do when rebooting a classic? The 1999 version won because it was honest. Stephen Sommers didn't try to be the smartest guy in the room or set up 10 future movies. He just made a damn fun adventure. Solid scares, great chemistry between Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz, a villain, Imhotep, who actually had a heartbreaking motivation, and humor that came from the characters instead of forced one-liners. It knew exactly no ego trips, no studio mandates to launch a universe, just a movie that respected the audience enough to entertain them without an agenda. The 2017 version, it tried to be everything at once and ended up being nothing. Universal wanted their own MCU but rushed it without a strong foundation. Tom Cruise's massive control turned the Mummy into a side character in her own damn movie. The tone swung wildly between half-hearted horror and full-on action spectacle. The script, guys, nobody asked for. And the result was a $410 million global gross that still lost the studio tens of millions because it bombed hard in the US. The one place you need to win big with a Tom Cruise movie. The dark universe died right there. No more Johnny Depp Invisible Man, no Javier Bardem Frankenstein, no Bride of Frankenstein, no nothing. Universal learned the hard way. You don't announce a shared universe until you've proven you can make one great standalone film first. What movie flop or surprise hit should we tear apart next? Let me know. I read every comment. Thanks for hanging out, guys. Catch you in the next one.